What is good, guys? This is Charles here at COGblades, coming at you guys with my third place deck profile here. And this is our second locals we ended up having. The first locals, my girlfriend went 5-0 undefeated. And I was going to show her deck profile, but I wanted her to do the video, and she wasn't comfortable being on camera and all this stuff. And anyway, this is our third place deck profile. Tremendously better than what we did the week before. There was a lot of changes that were done here. And I just wanted to go ahead and discuss that. The whole new deck lineup, essentially, minus, Dragoon. Because, if you guys don't know already, this is going to be a Dragoon channel. Dragoon's my favorite BeyBlade from the original series and all that stuff. So this is going to be... Dragoon's always going to be in there. But also, I want to just go ahead and discuss, we do I think it's 3v3, where it's 3-on-3 or something like that. It's the format type. Essentially, when the loser loses, they can declare a rematch or new Beyblade. Then if it's a new Beyblade, the winner chooses a Beyblade and presents it, then the loser can counter choose to that Beyblade. We think at our locals that promotes the most skillful play, in the sense that you get to counter choose and you have to know what other Beyblades do. It promotes a little bit more learning in the stuff, and then if you get counter chose as the winner, you have to adjust your launch technique, because in the game realm of Beyblade, it's not so much like TCGs where you just already kind of know how the matchup will go. There's so much craziness and chaos going in the arena that you potentially can win just simply by how you launch your Beyblade and stuff like that. If you guys enjoy those deck blocks, please check down the links down in the description below. He ended up making a new inside for it that allows the elevate bit to sit, which I have mine ordered as we speak here. This is so cool, guys. Like I said, I'm a huge Dragoon fan, and I ordered the wrong Dragoon. I was supposed to get the black Dragoon, and I ended up ordering the blue one, but that's okay. Also, please remember to give this video a like and subscribe. We're on our way to 100 subscribers and all that stuff. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and just hop on over here into the deck profile. Okay, guys, so here we are in the deck profile portion of the video. I'll go ahead and quickly show this to get it out of the way, just because I'm sure people try this. Is my Dragoon on 960 Elevate. So the issue I kept having with 160, and I know 560 are really popular, and 560 proved itself to me this tournament. Why I just, for me, not for you guys, but for me, I will not probably be using 560 moving forward unless I really have to. But for me, 960 Elevate was almost perfect. I don't know if you guys can feel this or see this, but it really, at least in this ratchet, Elevate's really hard to burst. And that's the one downside to this Beyblade, is the self-bursting of Elevate. Not really ratchet bursting, but self-bursting. And I wanted to limit, because I know 160 and 560 have the ability to self-burst, especially 560, because this happened twice at the tournament. It cost me 4 points total of it hitting the extreme rail and bursting itself. So I wanted to eliminate that, and I decided, if you're playing in a competitive deck, you got to have 960 on something. And since I'm not a big fan of Wizard Rod, I thought, put it on Dragoon. And I really was really happy with this, because it just, Dragoon, in my opinion, Dragoon is my balance type in the format that we're playing, where it's just kind of random. You when your opponent, when I won my match and I was forced to pick a new Beyblade, I would normally switch from these two to this, just because my opponent couldn't really counter pick. And I've been practicing really hard with Dragoon, so I would see when they choose an attack type what I need to do. Especially since it's left spinning, you can rail ride and tungsten drop on the opposite side, where you come up the this side of the rail and hide up here in the upper pocket. So then the attack type is just doing its business over here, and then you drop down and do your stuff. So it's it's really awesome. It's a hard hitter too, and Elevate gives it a lot of stamina, and I really like 960 on it. I did notice a few times where I was destabilized, but I think that's a Dragoon issue, and I noticed the destabilization happened on 160 as well. So I don't think it was really that much of a change in Dragoon. But this guy earned me the most points in the entire night. MVP of my entire tournament was just Dragoon being able to do what it does. Elevate, outspinning almost anything that it went up against. I did end up going against a Wizard Rod. I can't remember the combo it was on, but I think it was a meta-ish combo. But maybe it wasn't a meta-ish combo, but Wizard Rod, the blade itself just carried that combo, and it was very scary. So that's just how crazy Wizard Rod is. But this is my favorite Beyblade in the history. Of course, as you guys can see here, we said Dragoon will always be somewhere in my deck. It's my spirit animal. I saw something where everyone said everyone has a Beyblade that's their first, this is a Pokemon team. No, what's your ace? Dragoon is definitely mine. I always will choose Dragoon over any of these. But yeah, not really much more to say. I guess, 960 performed phenomenally. The thing didn't burst once. I think I bursted, but it was a tip burst, which is really hard to, which is pretty hard, because you can see I'm pulling with a lot of force. I don't know if hopefully the video does it justice. So this must have been a really hard drop on my part, which again, to me, Dragoon is a Beyblade that takes a lot of skill and learning to do. So yeah. Dragoon, 960 Elevate, MVP of the night. We'll go on to the next one. I'll do the worst one last. And as you can see, as I'm picking up Impact Drake here, you're going to be wait, Nightmail was the worst one? So Impact Drake, I ended up having on 160 Cyclone. So here's what's kind of wild is you should run this on low rush or rush, but my girlfriend broke our rush bit, and I didn't have my replacement because I wanted replacement in yet. So I let her use low rush, and I tested with Cyclone. And Cyclone kind of did exactly what I wanted it to do. So my opinion with Impact Drake is that it's all or nothing. If I don't hit you in the first 2 hits and knock you out, you've won. My chances of winning are very slim, especially with the rubber gimmick playing against it being able to be hit and stuff like that. So that was my thought process with Impact Drake, was all or nothing. This is my attack type. I will choose this when I know my opponent is doing a stamina or a defensive type that's going to sit in that inner circle, and I am just going to launch this guy at Mach 10, hoping that somewhere along the X row when I hit it, I will knock you out. And a few times, it worked, actually. It ended up getting me like 5 points in one match simply for... Excuse me, I'm lying. It got me 6 points in a match. It got me an extreme and into the pocket, a pocket finish, and then a spin out, which is kind of insane considering, you see this and you think like, oh, this is not a lot of stamina. But yeah, it got me that many points. And then there's a few mirror matches where you don't know what's going on. It's just the luck of like literally each player's just eating this thing at Mach 10. And it's just really the luck of, it's up to God in the arena, right? So like it's God and fate. So, but this right here really performed a lot better than I thought. 160 to give it that aggressive lean, and I kind of really went out of all the attack bits I had. I went with Cyclone because it's a little bit more high, like burst resistance. Because if you guys can see here, the extra layer here. So essentially, this is what I went for. And yeah, just to go and show you, like this is 160. For some reason, my 160s were really wiggly, and then on top of like Elevate going here, they were really burstable. I had a lot of bursts on Dragoon just by launching it, and I didn't want to that's why I put 960 on Dragoon instead of like this 160. We're shifting, I guess technically right there the same. It's like Impact Dragoon and then Dragoon over here, but the reason that we put 960 is because I wanted to limit my best Beyblade should not burst as much as it does, but every good Beyblade should have a downside, and I think for Dragoon, for Dragoon here, it was Elevate being burstable. So I wanted to reduce the ability for any other burst to happen. That's why I put 960 on this instead of the 160. Even though I did miss the little bit of aggressiveness that 160 did give it. And I know this is like arguably the best build of Dragoon is 160 Elevate. But I just didn't want to get bursted essentially. Especially in the format and like what I was choosing Dragoon for. I just didn't know. I did not want to risk getting smoked by an attack bay and bursting because of the loose grip of the 160. But on Impact Drake did remarkable. I think in one of my matches, I bursted someone, and then, like I said, I got the 6.1 match just by Impact Drake. And just for those, to reminder those, like the format we play, you can choose a rematch from your Beyblade. At 2 of those, my guy wanted a rematch, so like Impact Drake just went out there and spun. Now moving forward, I don't know yet if I will use this as my attacker. I saw some leaks of that 9-tailed fox, which I really like the design of that. Depending on what that becomes, I might end up switching this around. But for now, in my current deck, I'm going to rock Impact Drake on Cyclone, at least till I get my rush bit. But this performed a lot better than what I thought. Moving on to the worst Beyblade, but the most strategic one was Nightmail. 560 high, just point. So, not high point. I don't know why I said high point, because I was thinking of taper. We actually did a video of this, Impact Drake, on 180 high taper. If you guys have not checked that out, that should be on the channel. It should be either on the channel now or should be on the channel soon. And it was pretty much called the Tilt Gang. That's pretty much it. You're supposed to tilt this guy down aggressively to avoid the rubber and hit with the upper parts of the blade here. When it worked, but most of the time it did not work. So I do not recommend. This is by far the better build out of those two. It was more consistent and did what it is. And that's even with just using, in my opinion, Cyclone as like a knockoff tip of one I didn't have. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Sorry about that. Anyway, Nightmail 560 point. By far, this is like the most stressful Beyblade I've had because I've been really struggling to make a build for this. The idea that I have behind my entire deck is I have a balanced Beyblade, a stamina-ish Beyblade, which is in the form of Dragoon. I have an attack, and this is my tanker, my counter-attacker that's supposed to be able to be used against those aggressive combos. It works, but this guy ended up costing me my match, my very important, fight for first match. It ended up getting me, this is the reason I got third place, is because this guy bursted twice, ratchet-wise, by hitting the rail. So I'm not a huge fan of 560. And this is not just that. This happened with Nightmail, and this happened a lot in testing with Dragoon, was the 560 was bursting, not the tips. And that's crazy with Dragoon, considering Elevate. It was always the ratchet. So I just, went online, asked a few players who have a little bit more knowledge of me, and everyone's like 560 on this, or 360 would also be good, because 360, I think, lines up if you put it on. It'll kind of line up opposite of the balls here. So then you have perfect balance. So maybe 360 way to go. I actually will also want to try 760 on this. because the entire theory behind this, and when it worked, it worked. That's what's crazy, is it worked. And you saw how hard that was. Like, I had to struggle to turn the sucker on. So, but like, there we go. So like, it's harder. There we go. It might be something wrong with my ratchet too. Now that I see that it did that, it's easy to turn. Yeah, it's super easy. So that's could be fault of me, not the 560. And now I can't even get it to go back on. So gotta love. So anyway, and then of course point was a good bit in my opinion. When I was doing my research, I wanted a counterattacker, something I could fling out against like very aggressive Beyblades that could hold its own but also do sufficient counterattacks. And we tried Transpoint one week, and Transpoint was not it. So we just went down to regular point, and this performed phenomenal when it did its job. Essentially, the idea is this thing has enough stamina, and it's not a singular sit in the center type of Beyblade. So like it'll constantly move around the inner circle, so you're able to avoid those extreme dashes. But also, as soon as you hit the flat, you hit that rail too. You have hard enough with Nightmail being the weight and its direction it is to be able to counterattack and knock those attackers into the extreme finish, or the I think they're called over finish. I'm really bad at this. I just call them the pockets because I think a pool, but essentially knock either the attacker into the pocket or knock them into the extreme. And then even then, with the counterattack ability you have, sometimes the counterattack the attack blades couldn't keep up because Point had a little bit more stamina than them. So that was the entire theory, right? Was when I know they're choosing something like this, you throw in I choose Nightmail to counter it, and then I just kind of hope that Nightmail's placement and its spin patterns are able to like conflict with the rail rush and the rail riding of the opposing attack bay, and then just Nightmail tanks all the hits. The recoil on Nightmail though is pretty strong. I cannot wait to try it, that Under Needle. And that's going to be the next build probably for Nightmail that you'll probably see on the channel will be Nightmail 760 Under Needle. I think 760 adds a little bit more weight, and Under Needle is going to be able to give it a little bit lower stance. And from what I've seen in testing, is Under Needle is a very tanky, very good recoil bit. Still allowing for good counterattack too. But like I said, this guy costed me 4 points in my like placing match simply by bursting himself. He bursted on the rail, and then I wanted a rematch, so I declared rematch because I know I was going against an attack base, so I knew I had the advantage because in prior matches, launching this against an attack bay, this did phenomenal and won me points, and it's actually earned me like 3 points prior up to the whole bursting incident, where it literally bursted, and then I said rematch, launch it again, hit the rail, and then just burst it. Really disappointed in this. This is probably the most stressful Beyblade I have because I was trying to find a good build for it. I don't want we tested it on Hexa. Hexa was terrible because it just sits there in the center, and it's just like things like Phoenix, Whale Wave, and pretty much Impact Drake also is in the list now too. Swing Through, and Air Pegasus is also good. Any of those heavier Beyblades that attack blades just hit the rail and smoke it. Hexa is not going to save you, and I've actually found like there's such a hard enough hit from those attacks that Hexa stamina doesn't play into it because you lose so much stamina on that interaction, that impact, because you're getting knocked into something, potentially the extreme zone come back out, that you lose so much stamina that the attack bays are normally on rush or low rush, and they just have a little bit more stamina than you after that, and they lose. So Transpoint was put on this to allow for the counterattack ability of it, to where like it sits there, it bobs and once it gets hit, Nightmail's recoil ability to take the recoil slows it down, it hits the rail, counterattack. And I have found that Point and also Transpoint do that very well, but Transpoint, in my opinion, doesn't have as much stamina as Point does. But yeah, so that is it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this type of content. I hope you guys enjoy the way we do the deck profiles here at COGblades. Again, MVP was Dragoon, scored me the most points. Impact Drake scored me the next points, and Nightmail was just underperformed. We got to head back to the drawing board because I really like Nightmail. I'm really hoping the Fox is something interesting. I think I saw somewhere that it's leaked. It's not confirmed, but I saw some pretty cool leaks for it that are essentially saying that it has 9 blades protruding out of it. So that I don't know if it's going to be an attack type or what. I've also seen people try to put Nightmail here on like 160, make this the attack blade. So maybe the goal, or maybe this Fox, I don't know. I just know that Nightmail stayed in my deck somehow. So essentially, I got my 2 Beyblades chosen for this event. For the foreseeable future is Nightmail and stuff. I think Dragoon's going to stay the same. Nightmail will either switch back and forth depending on what the third Beyblade is. If my third Beyblade's an attacker, this will be more of a tanky build. If my Nightmail's an attacker, I need to have a tanky Beyblade. So that's just pretty much how it'll go moving forward. So anyway, yeah, so this is probably what I'm going to rock for the next few tournaments coming up. We have them every Friday. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please remember to subscribe, all that fine stuff. I'm sorry if I already said that. But yeah, please, you guys stay safe, stay healthy. This is Charles from COGblades signing out.